We're live.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 11 of the GSP Team Podcast. We're going to just bash straight into some of the questions we've been asked. Just chit-chat about them as we normally do. So the first one came through Cilléin, actually. It's how to go for a PB when training on your own. Comes from a client, does it?
Yeah,
Or?
so one of my clients, family man, he trains 3 days a week. He's got a great setup in his house. He's lucky he has a squat rack. He's got the safety bars with it and everything. But I suppose, it can be a bit daunting if you've got to go for a PB by yourself, and especially he's only got his wife there with him. So it's kind of if he does fall, it's kind of on him. But again, he's lucky enough that he has the squat racks and everything, so. Kind of one thing I was trying to say to him and some of my other clients is that, let's say, for example, if you've got a 180 squat, but that 180 squat is a bit shaky, your knees might have been caving in, it might have been a real grind. If you can say at the end of your next training block, hit that 180 smoothly without any kind of breaks in your form, that in itself is still a PB.
Absolutely.
And I kind of feel some people feel that in order to PB, they have to grind out that rep that. I feel in most people's minds that is PBing, is when you're grinding out and you're shaking and you're really struggling. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can even let's say if something was it was a grind but not a complete grind, you can just leave it at that and just leave it on a good note. You don't have to go to absolute failure at the end of your training block to actually score a PB. It can be sometimes beneficial in the long run to actually leave a little bit in the tank.
And as well, we've definitely touched on before, is that again, you don't have to lift more weight. You can do it better.
Yeah.
Or it could be faster than the last time.
Yeah.
And you can sometimes just clearly see that in a video. And that's enough. You're stronger then. If you can move the same weight faster a few months later, you're stronger. You can hit a bigger weight. That.
Okay, so sorry.
No, so you could theoretically bump your training maxes up to 2 to 5 kilos if you wanted to then and work off heavier numbers.
So that would be my question there, though. Is he asking, though, if you're requiring him to do a 1 rep max, right? And I know this has happened with people before, what would you advise? Because I know where I would go with this. If I'm asking someone to do a 1 rep max, so they're trying to hit 2.5, 5 kilos, whatever. But I'm also on bench than squat or deadlift than anything else. But what would you? Are you still kind of saying it should? If you can't hit something that's better than the time before, even if it's just cleaner,
yeah. As I'd always say, especially the person's trained by themselves, it's just and even with some of the people who are training in the gym and that, I'm just you can be a little bit conservative when it comes to this, because you're not competing, so it's you're going into the gym, you're doing this more for yourself, so it's why take the risk to go to risk going at absolute 100% on something and me personally, for my clients that are in the gym, I would kind of rather at the end of the training block to kind of hit say a heavy double or a heavy triple or something and make it move well. Now with this client and some other clients, they like to max out on some of this, so I have to kind of tailor the programs as much as they want, but I personally would rather kind of see them just kind of go working up to heavy double, heavy triple, because I kind of feel you're kind of, even though you're going for more reps, you kind of got a little less room for error, because you're not going to that extreme kind of threshold of things and let's say even if it was a heavy triple or heavy double, you do 1 rep or 2 reps, if it's not feeling good, you can just rack it up, whereas if you're going for that absolute 100% 1 rep, you're going to take a little bit more risk on it. And just me personally, because we wouldn't really max out in the gym, and we're kind of saying on the last podcast with in competition, if you can afford not to max out on the lift, don't do it so. It's just I can understand, because some people, they like getting stronger, they like the intensity of it. I can understand why they want to push it, but again, I think it's just you don't have to be grinding it out and it being 100% effort for you to actually progress going forward.
100%. I think where people also they mess up their setup, right? And when I say by setup is they don't have their safety bars high enough. What people should be doing, if you're squatting on your own in a power cage or a walnut rack, whatever it is, have your safety bars an inch below where your deepest squat point is. And then if you do fail, you just fall forward onto the pins, you pop out the back or crawl out the front, it doesn't matter. People set their safety bars down around their knees. The bar is probably a foot off that. You'd be surprised how high the safety bars actually are if you set them up properly. So like I think that's somewhere people really go on. And same for the bench press. If you're arching and you're getting thoracic up and your chest is high, you want to have the safety bars just below your chest line, where the bar is going to be touching. So that if you do fail, you can just cave your chest and let the bar sit on the safeties. And you can just crawl out of it.
Yeah.
And like if you do that, you're pretty damn safe.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're squatting heavy and you pop a quad, spotter's not stopping you anyway. You're relying on safeties then, like. And if your safeties aren't set up and you have no spotter, or if you have a spotter and your safeties aren't set up, he's still not stopping you hit the ground.
So we've even seen it.
You're pretty screwed.
We've seen it with a friend of ours on bench who had a spotter. We've seen the video of our friend in a gym when the bench.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
Yes, and the spotter didn't save him. It went too quick.
Really?
Yeah.
Spotter didn't save him with the rack.
It was 140 kilos, and
bench,
the bar just popped out of his hands as he was pressing.
Oh yes,
I
know.
His hands popped open, and the bar just flew down his chest.
Yeah.
No spotter in the world is going to catch it.
No, absolutely.
It happens way too quick.
Yeah.
So I
But
think
if there was safety bars, he would have been fine.
exactly. And I think as well, then that's where the psychological point comes from. It. The mindset is that perhaps you're kind of going, if you know that you've got to psych yourself up and there's no one else there, I suppose ramping yourself up to be able to perform a heavy double or a 3 or a 2 or a 1 is going to be hard enough.
Yeah.
But if you're panicking and worrying about, am I going to get squashed? That's going to be in the back of your mind as well, which is going to kind of put that weight down a little bit. I think from my point of view, if that was someone, like what I tend to do with online clients is if they don't have the facilities around them, is we try and say, okay, come down to the gym when you're doing those heavies, because then you've got a crew around you.
Yeah.
So, but that's obviously not always the case for people, and that's, but it's just, if you don't have that, I think it's just making sure that your setup is correct, that you get your head straight, and be, I suppose, conservative.
Yeah.
With the choices that you're making, perhaps.
And I think as well, like let's say if you're going for a squat and you do fail, like the worst thing you do is to panic at that kind of situation.
Absolutely,
I mean, I feel like I've seen videos where like they're stuck in the hole and then like they're just waiting with the bar on their back and they're really not too sure what to do. I mean, just like get your hands away and just like go forward, just let it roll off your back.
Yeah. You throw it back off yourself.
Yeah, like it's not going to damage. It won't really damage the bar, and it shouldn't damage your rack that you're using. But again, I think the worst thing you can really do in those kind of situations is panic. Like as long as you've got like your setup done right and you got your safety bars in the right place, like you should be fine to kind of just let the bar drop like that.
Well, you'll essentially only be dropping it an inch if you have it right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or, you know, like and like if they're anyway a forward leaning squat in particular, most people are going to crumble forward.
Yeah.
So you're kind of just going to go down onto the racks for an inch, and you're not really going to slam anything. You know. No. I think people just the setup is a big thing. Like I've actually, for some reason, I feel like I mentioned Blaine Sumner an awful lot, the powerlifter from America, on the podcast. But he had a setup. Now he got someone to make it for him. He had steel boxes. So he always benched and squatted on his own. He had these 2 steel boxes made to exact height of what was just a few inches above his squat depth, or below his squat depth. Sorry. And he could train all the time on his own. He's squatting 1,000 pounds on his own in a single ply suit with knee wraps. Weekly. I think he done it every week for like 16 weeks at one stage, 1,000 pounds.
Jesus.
Yeah. I think he ended up squatting like 500 in IPF, single ply.
Wow.
At some stage, it was or in around them numbers anyway. But he always on his own, never had spotters, never had a training crew in his own little gym, and just had these safeties set up. And that was it. And he often let the bar onto them. Like, now it wasn't your regular safety bars. He was specially made things like to handle that kind of load.
Yeah.
But if you have your setup right, I feel like you should be able to go for it.
Yeah.
But look, you might have to spend some money, and you have to make sure you have it actually set up properly, and it's worth the investment. You know,
it is. Yeah.
From a safety point of view, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Safety has to come first for those things. Like,
absolutely, yeah.
I think you have to be smart, because if you've got some rickety old conventional or generalized sports shop bench and you're looking to do like a 160 fucking max, don't you know, so be smart.
Yeah, check the weight limit on at least. Like,
there's just a few, I suppose, just being smart about things.
I suppose being smart about your surroundings as well, that you're gonna go for squat that plates or the bars going to hit off something and knock you aside.
I was actually going to say, the other thing you sometimes see in videos is kids and animals running around. I'm like, you don't want that
scary,
please.
No, keep everything away.
Yeah, keep that area focused.
And a really good point he said there, like you keep the training area clean. So even if you had to, like, you see Olympic lifters often drop a bar behind their back when they're squatting and they're failing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to have that bounce onto plates and then it throws the bar forward, and then that bar rolls into your
knocks you
fucking, the back of your leg into your calf, like, and hurt you.
Or if you didn't have the squat rack pinned down, you drop it back while that weight hits one corner,
and it just
it
flips over.
could literally you could flip over, like, so. Safety comes first.
Yeah. So like this, like, safe setup, man. Safe setup, and like you said, just you could do a 3 or go for a 3 RM and just leave it at 2 if you think you're not going to get the last one.
Which I think is just a bit safer.
That way, safer that way,
yourself, like.
There's loads of things you can do
to mitigate things.
And that's what mitigation is what it's all about, really, I suppose, isn't it?
So like again, if you had like your own setup at home, maybe do like a risk assessment of what you have and just try and think of, you know, what could go wrong and like how you could prevent those things. So I know some people who do squat racks themselves, but it's not even screwed down to the ground, and they'd be even doing like military press, and they put too much on the rack. And then the whole thing fucking comes down on top of them. They're wondering, oh, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And it's just
wonder.
Physics.
Yeah. One of our lads there online, actually, he's training at home. I don't know. I actually can't remember. Did he like nearly decapitate himself benching, or was it squatting? But he just went on strength shop, got safety straps for a mono basically, and hung them over his power cage. And like he has failed onto them before since, and everything's fine.
Okay,
it just sits onto the safety straps, like.
Good.
So like that's a cheaper option if you have a power cage. You don't have actual safety bars, or you might have bent the old ones or something by dropping onto it. Chains and straps for a monolith.
Straps do look nice, I think. Yeah.
They look nice as well. Yeah. And again, set them up right. Set the height right in them. Like Dave is a really good example of someone in our place that like he sets everything to just below where he needs it to be.
Perfectly.
It's perfect. Yeah. And like he'll still get a spotter, like, but if he doesn't put harm because he's just dropping it an inch,
like, you
know. Playing it smart.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nothing else we can really add to that, is there?
I don't think so, no.
And like we're really talking about the bench and the squat, aren't we?
Maybe.
Oh,
the deadlift you drop it.
Deadlift you drop it, like
overhead as well. You can kind of just drop it over too.
Again with the overhead, just make sure there's nothing behind you. Because
clean area.
You could a clean area like this, because I know just with my client, I've said this before, just he with his log pressing, he's got his fucking nice car behind him, and I'm just like, just for the love of God, move
landing on the bonnet.
your fucking car. Like, so I do not want to see that video. If you're listening, John, I don't want to see you smash up your car as you're wrong.
I do. So
I know.
Send it to me. Okay, right. That one's fairly bashed out. This is one that Ayshea has added to the topics. Ego lifting. So, what do you want? Do you want to lead the way here?
Yeah, I suppose we've touched on ego lifting, like for competition prep and everything else, but it's just something that has been, I think I've noticed more so in the gym, and you'll see it on social media as well, where a person changes their style of lifting depending on who's around them. And I suppose it brings us back to the whole point again of focus on yourself and what's going on. I would have seen it before, and I think you would have seen it as well, Matt, where somebody might be deadlifting and you've done a lot of work on their form and they're deadlifting better. And the next thing, there's people have come into the gym and they're pulling with dog shit form because they're just trying to show off.
And trying to move it fast and slamming weights.
And slamming weights and banging weights around and just being a dick, basically, sometimes. And there's no need for that.
No.
I think that focus on yourself and what your training is should remain the same, whether you're in front of a crowd or whether you have, I know, Big Z in front of you or the regular guy from the gym. Your training, your style should be focused on what you're doing, your form, your technique, the weight that you're trying to move. If it's speed work, fine, speed work, but don't try and then speed work your 90% because someone's come into the gym and you're trying to show off, basically.
Well, actually, you should be trying to do that with everything you do.
But not
But we know we're getting at, like, being specific. It's talking about lads who just let their form go to dog shit and jerk on a lightweight to move as quickly as possible. Essentially, isn't it? Like,
exactly.
Like, there's no benefits from that whatsoever. Like,
no, there's an injury risk.
It's huge.
You want to get hurt,
bang away.
But I think it just brings it back again to where is your focus? Like, where is your focus for, what's going on around you is not your business.
No.
Do you know what I mean? If you're in there training and that hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is that you're in there, whether you're in comp prep or whether you're just doing it for self-improvement, it should be that focus on you and what you're doing, not what's going on around you and
what other people are doing.
Exactly.
Well, like,
and you'll always see the showman in competition. And that's that's what you'll get, and that's fine, being the showman in competition if you're doing what you should be doing.
Exactly.
In the comp as well. But if it's something that you're doing in training as well, and it's just no need for it, because it's not actually going to benefit you or anyone else, and most people are just going to look at you and think you're being an idiot.
Yeah.
So
I think in a lot of different ways, getting distracted by what other people are doing can really hold back your training.
Yeah.
In like a lot of different aspects, whether it be like, trying to impress people in the gym, or if you're like, scouting out your competition on Instagram and see what they're doing. Like, it's just, you're not focusing on yourself, and that is like where you're going to make the most like progress with this. Like,
it's funny because we actually spoke about that during the week,
Yeah.
or the weekend there, one of the younger lads in the gym, like who was kind of scouting out his competition. He wanted to know what they're doing. And that was like, doesn't matter.
No.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares?
And you pulled actually Cilléin across, and me across, and then Mary across, and we were like,
all the most experienced. Like, come here. Tell this lad to stop being stupid.
And again, it comes down to that ego, I think, of like, because what's going to start happening is you get people and going, oh my God, they're all better than me, and I'm shy, and why am I not doing this? And then you're comparing yourself, and comparison is a thief of joy. So that's it. All just can quite easily go to shit. So if you're actually just looking at what you're doing, don't worry about what the rest of everyone else is doing.
So I kind of think those two things link up with what you're just saying, because if you got somebody, say, who they're looking at like fucking Joe doing whatever on his Instagram page, and then they're like, oh fuck, I'm nowhere near that. And the next thing they go into the gym and they're just like, fuck the form, whatever. And they just, they try and do what other people are doing. And then you're probably going to start putting, because like that person you're watching on Instagram could be training terribly. Fair enough, you may see them do a heavy set of 5, but like, should they have been doing that heavy set of 5 at this point?
Absolutely.
Like, so it's just like, there's absolutely pointless looking at what other people are doing or get distracted by them.
We also said the other side that is you will get people who will put up really lighter, shitty weights.
Yeah.
And you will be, then what do? You start thinking, geez, that person, I haven't got to worry about them, but they're really pulling some savage shit.
Like,
it's reverse psychology, lads. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm really injured, and I don't know. Next thing they come out of nowhere and they're like a fucking spring chicken. There is that element to it as well. And if you're relying on what you're seeing other people do or kind of thinking about that, then your distraction.
For the most part, all you should be doing is when you're training is thinking about yourself. And getting ready for the competition you're getting ready for, and just being laser focused on you and the events you have up against you, how you're going to go about them events. And that is it. Like, you should not be thinking of anything else, because you can't control what they do on the day in training, anything about them. You just need to focus on, like, it's this lad, you're going to use, I think we talk about him every day.
And we talk about ego, like the head.
But you need to focus on your training, your nutrition, your recovery, everything to be the best you can be. And the only tactics really come in then, other than like how you're going to go about events maybe, but after that, like the person-to-person tactics, like we spoke about with the strong recap there, like Kayla and Matt only done enough to beat people they needed to at certain points of the competition, taking a professional approach. That's the only tactic you can work out. But you can only do that if you're out last or you're out after people. Only if you're going well all day, then you can go, right, I only need to do this much to beat that person. But you figure that out 5 minutes before, not even, you might figure that out 30 seconds before you go out.
As you're walking out.
They might have gone before you go, 5 lengths plus a half, okay, I need to do 6. And like, even if you can do 7, you stop at 6 to win. That's the only tactic you can do. Like, other than that, it's like, it's just focusing on you.
Focus on yourself.
You gotta leave that ego aside, and you gotta put the focus and the attention on yourself. Like,
absolutely.
Don't get sidetracked.
No, because it's so easy to do that. Like, I was very bad for it.
Oh yeah, no, same when I kind of started off as well.
I was absolutely terrible for it. I knew what everyone was doing.
Did
me no good.
Barely knew what I was doing then. Like.
But there you go. Like,
I remember, for me, half the competitions, unless I don't actually know what order my events are running in.
Sometimes you don't even know your events.
I don't exactly, because you tell me what to do in some aspect or form. You give me a program, and that's my focus on that day, is getting through that session and doing the best I can for that. And
you normally don't even know what your week looks like training wise.
I don't look at it.
No, you just look at you kind of do the same now, don't you?
Yeah, I feel like if I start looking ahead, then I'm like constantly thinking about what I have to do.
I have to,
and then I feel like one, it kind of like takes away the excitement from it, and like two, then when I actually come to do it, I'm just like, oh fuck, I've been like thinking about this. It's you lose kind of like a lot of energy and like excitement from like overthinking it too much, and then you kind of underperform then when training like.
So not only do you not know who you're against, or you're not thinking about who you're against, you don't even know what you're training half the time.
No. No. They just walk into the gym, check the program.
We know it's an upper day or a lower day.
That's it. Yeah,
we know it might be
squats
or deadlifts.
We have our training split.
Yeah,
and that's all you know. Really.
That's what we know. We don't know.
Whatever sets reps they are, that's it.
Yeah.
Unless there was say one thing specifically that we were working towards in a few weeks' time. I say that what we've been with the deadlift, that's a little bit different because I kind of need to be know how to approach these sessions kind of going forward, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, today, whether it be today or Thursday, you do it based on how you feel because you're hammered from the weekend. This deadlift session, you do need to be prepared for that day.
Yeah, that day. Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah, but other than that, then it's just take it session by session. I don't have to be looking ahead at everything. I just need to know that's going to be that goal on that day. So just make sure each session is done correctly. Not overdoing it or underdoing it at the same time. Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely a great mindset. And I definitely faltered there years ago when I was younger.
Easily done though.
Yeah. And I always done my own program. I never had a coach. So that probably made it worse again because I knew exactly what was happening every single day.
That's tough.
Yeah. And there was no one there to tell me, no, it's okay not to do this weight today if you're feeling shit. So I would have just kept going. Yeah. It is definitely, I had the ego, I 100% you know. No, it's good to hear that. And I think that's a really valuable lesson for a lot of the younger guys and girls out there as well. Probably more the guys, really.
Well, I think so. Yeah, definitely.
I think the girls do get way pulled in on social media.
Probably,
they
social
get
media,
so pulled in on what X, Y, and Z are doing and how they're doing it, and I'm not strong enough. That it does get into their heads. Probably not in the sense where the lads would go and do something rogue in the gym. The girls are just oh God, I'm not going to do it. They don't
guys see something, go into the gym and try to do something stupid, whereas girls will see something and be then they go the opposite end. They kind of revert back and they don't want to do the heavyweights,
because they think they're going to fail. Okay,
nice one. It's definitely some good lessons out of that one. And then the last topic for today is came through Instagram actually. Training while cutting weight. Is it possible to cut weight and keep strength levels? So I suppose there's two ways you can go here. Are you talking about cutting weight like the last couple of weeks before a comp to make a weight category or just general weight loss? And maintaining strength. So both are possible, I would say. Depending on how you do it and how harshly you do it or not harsh, I suppose.
I think especially when it comes to general weight loss is that a lot of people are actually surprised that you need to eat a lot of food to actually lose weight, but it's more just eating the right kinds of food. If you know what I mean, you can have as many vegetables as you want with your meals and stuff. You don't have to, when people think of weight loss, they're oh, I have to be starving and it has to be in a calorie deficit. But for most people that I talk to, especially coming into Health Plus, it's they don't need to be on a massive calorie deficit. They just need to be eating better quality foods. It's they're just eating really shitty calories throughout the day, and it's just it's not going to affect your mood. It probably will decrease your testosterone levels if you're a man. And then it's just you just need to actually just bring in more of a balanced diet. You could have say beating 3,000 calories of bad calories, but then if you had just say 3,000 calories of good calories, your weight can start dropping down, your strength can start going up. So I think kind of more to know what kind of style of diet you're having as well.
I think one of the things I used to look at myself was kind of going, if you are especially open weight athlete or in the higher weight categories, 9 out of 10 times you're carrying probably more dead weight than you need unless you're super lean, right? So the way I always used to look at it when I was bringing my, and again, trying to cut weight or lose weight whilst remaining strong, just to be better movement and better health, is you find that your levels don't go down, your strength level won't just drop. You're not doing a drastic weight cut. You're not. You're just eating better, you're feeling better. And the way I always used to look at it was if you're squatting 100 kilos, but you're 20 kilos overweight, right? You're effectively squatting 120 kilos, let's say, right? So if you take that weight off, there's no reason why you can't be putting that on the bar and squatting it off a bar, right? So that was my psychology around that and going, very interesting. So there's no reason why if you're carrying that excess weight that can't turn into actual weight, physical weight on a plate of a bar. And I think that for a long time, people have this probably that concept of, if some people have bigorexia. We're saying that we know a few people who they just want to get massive because they think that's going to make them stronger. I'm well, then doesn't it really work that way? Do you know? Okay, mass moves mass, but you don't want to be this dead weight.
So dead weight does nothing for you. Fat does nothing for you.
Absolutely not. So convert that and become stronger by eating healthier, change your body composition, and that is going to be effective. It's not going to affect your strength, and if anything else, you're going to get stronger.
And I think like, so if you were an open strongman woman, right, and you're carrying a lot of dead weight, so you're carrying a lot of fat, right? Maybe if you do, even if you were to cut a little harshly, right, and you lost a bit of top end strength, chances are if you lose that weight, your movement events are going to get better. You're probably going to be faster covering ground with a farmer's walk or sandbag, and your condition's probably going to be better, so you can keep going for longer and better recovery.
Overall,
So like, depending on how heavy you are, it might be worth going a little harsh so you can actually drop the weight and get better at all the other things, and then worry about the max strength afterwards. You know, that there's many ways to skin a cat here, lads, but that is something. If someone really wants to lose a lot of weight, maybe start looking at the other positives instead of going, "Oh, my deadlift's falling off." Well, your farmers are now better, and your sandbags better, and your conditions better.
From what you're saying there, because like if you think about like say like as the high pace that some strongman shows are, fair enough, you may say lose some kilos off your static lifts in the gym, but when you actually kind of go into the competition, you get the high pace, you may be in a better condition because you're actually being able to recover. You're recovering better in between events, so you're actually able to give in more than you could have if you were like at the heavier weight that you were beforehand. And you can be a big, massive static powerhouse, like, but if your condition's not there, I guarantee you're not going to be able to perform as much as you could if you were, say, in the gym and taking your time with things.
100%.
So I mean, like, it's like there's again, like, kind of already falls back to people having like too big of an ego to actually kind of take that step back to actually do things. But like at the moment, like myself, like I'm on a weight cut at the moment. It was just kind of, I'm on like one less meal than it was, and kind of slightly smaller portions. I feel a little bit hungrier throughout the day, but that's just mainly just because my meals now are a little bit spread out. But I'm eating I'm more kind of eating at better times, if that makes sense. So I'm using my calories a little bit more efficiently rather than just like before. I was just kind of like, if I was hungry, I had to eat kind of thing. Like
you were just slamming food.
Like I was just because especially at the start of this training cycle, I was like 143 kilos, and I was like, if I keep going the way I'm going now, I'll probably be about like 160 by the time the end of the year comes.
And you'll be carrying a lot of shit.
And carrying a lot of shit weight, like so. It's just like considering like I was at like early stages of the strength program, there was no need for me to be at such a high calorie level because the intensity wasn't really there. So it's just kind of like as the weeks goes on, I may bring my calories up, but overall, I feel a lot healthier for it. I feel just a lot more energy, kind of like day to day, since I've actually like tidied things up a little bit. Like so, you're not gonna be fainting or struggling to like walk or kind of move around the place and everything. Like again, it's just more about like eating smart as well at the same time. And again, like you can put as many vegetables as you want on the plate, like because I mean like they're not gonna. Like you're not going to like blow up with your weight if you're eating loads of vegetables and having a high protein diet, and using your carbohydrates more smartly, like getting them before your training and maybe a little bit after training, and then like maybe keeping them away for the rest of the meals and stuff like. So it'd be probably worth for that person to actually sit down, kind of write out what you're eating as well at the same time, because a lot of people think they're eating 3,000 calories, but they write it out, they're actually maybe eating 3,500.
Or 2,500.
2,500 on the other side of it as well. Like it's very easy to kind of like screw that up, like because I even know myself, I was like, oh yeah, like I'm eating this much and everything, like, but then you write it out, it's just like I'm fucking so wrong, like
very easily done.
Very
easily done. Do you have anything else to, like I suppose the other aspect for that one is cutting weight, like the week of a comp, doing a water cut and all that. So
never
like
done it.
You've never done it. No,
me neither.
No.
I pull weight for life.
So I have done it, like, and I help a lot of people do it. We currently have a couple of people that will be doing it next week for Ireland. So look, ideally, the ideal situation to be in is to be around. I like people to be around 5% of their body weight to have to cut that. So like we have someone here who's going to be in the 64s and she'll be cutting around 3 kilos, which is around 5%. Roughly, you can do that easily without losing strength. But you need to have a 24-hour weigh-in for that to happen. If you have a same day weigh-in,
it's like IPF happen. Or something like that. Right?
So
it's like an hour IPF for
2 hours.
2 hours beforehand.
A lot of the powerlifting.
If you're doing a water cut and sauna, you're not going to be rehydrated enough in time to perform. So looking at strongman, it's all 24-hour weigh-ins. In fairness, really, like, or some federations do a 17-hour weigh-in. But that's usually the least you're going to get. 5% water cut. Like I'm not going to go through a water cut protocol. There's plenty of them online. You can figure it out. But Yeah, essentially what you do is you drink a lot of water and sodium for the first part of the week, then you pull it all out at different stages, and for 24 hours you might not consume any water, or depends on where you're at that 24-hour mark out from the weigh-in. And it's about rehydrating and getting the food back into you then, and being ready for the comp. But you shouldn't, if you do that correctly, you can do that without losing any strength. Some people go as far as 10% body weight. So for a 60 kilo athlete, it could be close to 6 kilos. I think that's very harsh. And it is very harsh. And I think people should only really be doing that when they're looking at like world record type stuff or world title type stuff. It's not really worth it otherwise, in my eyes.
No,
it's so harsh.
You're losing out on so much strength in the day.
It's very hard to get your full strength levels and hydration and food back into your glycogen, everything within 24 hours to be ready to compete. It can get quite dangerous at times going that far. It is extreme. So I think the 5% mark is good.
Would you think that to say there is like, I just kind of know from, it's kind of more so in other sports, I know people who are like in MMA and stuff, and like they'd be going on these drastic weight cuts, but I'm just kind of like, and they try and do it like, they might do the water cut like the week of the competition, and like they're like suffering so badly. I mean, they have like really hot baths, saunas, everything. Like, and sometimes they'll be quite delirious from it. Like, and I'm kind of saying to people, it's like, if you actually, actually more focus on actually losing some fat a couple of like weeks and months before the actual competition, and then like you wouldn't have to have such a drastic water loss. Like,
absolutely. Like I think the people that I'm talking about doing the 5% thing, they probably shouldn't be carrying body fat.
Yeah, you're probably minus like 18% body fat.
Yeah,
on a day-to-day kind of basis.
Yeah. Like without naming names, like there's someone in the gym at the moment getting ready for Ireland's. We all know who she is. She'll be doing around the 5% probably. But there's not a lot of body fat there to cut at the moment. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the kind of athlete I'm talking about. Really, is that you want to be. If you're carrying a lot of fat and you're looking at dropping categories, we're kind of gone back to the conversation we just had a few minutes ago, where you need to just get that fat off. There's no point carrying a load of fat all year round and then trying to drop into
a weight cut.
No, you need to get that fat off and keep it off year round and get strong at that weight. It's kind of senseless then at that point. You know what I mean?
Because the thing is, any of the athletes that come in here, especially if they're the mindset that come from another area of like, I want a weight cut into a weight category. And we tend to go, look, well, let's see where you sit first. What is your body weight? Where are you strong? Where are you sitting? Where should you be? Do you need to get more conditioned and lose some body fat, or is it that you need to get stronger in the next category because you're already super fucking lean?
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? So there's a whole.
Some people go into denial then, and like they probably fear the next weight category up because they think they're not strong enough. And I see that happening a lot, like where they probably should. There comes a time where you probably should just move up a weight category.
So just trying to cut that.
Instead of constantly trying to cut, because you're at your leanest, your body weight might be getting too heavy and the cut might be getting too hard. Especially like the longer you're training, ideally you want to be getting stronger year on year. If you're getting stronger, you're probably putting on more muscle, so it just becomes harder and harder to cut as the years go on. So there definitely comes a time where an athlete just needs to look at moving up a weight category. No doubt about it. But I think that's kind of that covered, really, isn't it? Like if you're a weight class athlete and you're looking to be dropping the weight categories, get the fat off you, really, I suppose, right? Before you're thinking about doing water cuts and stuff, and
don't be concerned about losing strength, because that's you're going to lose some, it may be minimal.
Minimal
until you're back.
In fairness, like I've seen you both and myself in the past drop body fat and get stronger. We've and like not just like all around better athlete, but actually stronger in static lifts.
I think you can recover a lot better when you don't have as much bad weight on the body. Like,
absolutely. And like if you are an open class athlete, like you were saying earlier, you're dropping weight now because you're way out from competition. I think like you should be looking in the off season. Most open class athletes should be looking to drop weight in the off season.
100%. And just drop your calories back.
Absolutely.
There's no need to be eating your competition prep calories when you're like not in competition prep. Which I feel like a lot of people. That's what they do.
You can nearly your last 8 to 10 weeks is you could be slowly increasing your calories up to the competition, and that way, like, it'll help you peak as well.
See, the other side of that is, well, you see so much on, again, fucking social media about, such and such a person eats 10,000 calories a day. They don't do that. Or even if they do eat 10,000 calories, they're not eating them fucking day in, day out, 365 days.
So hard to do that. Like.
So be sensible about that.
And you got to look at, say, like, what their work output is. Because, I mean, like, I just know example of, like, somebody who started off in strongman and they were probably about maybe like 95, 98 kilos. And they were just like seeing that Tor Bjornsson was eating 10,000 calories. So they're like, oh, I got to do that.
Now I have to do it.
And then this person started eating 7,000 to 8,000 calories. And then after, I think, 3 or 4 months, they were up to about 130 kilos. And they were a fucking mess.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
it's impressive dedication.
It was. I mean, like,
that's hard to eat.
Yeah. I mean, like, it was impressive for the wrong reasons. Like,
yeah.
But it was just like, fair enough, this person was 136 kilos, but like their margin of strength gain was like minuscule compared to like their weight gain.
Because it was just fat.
They're fat. Because I mean, like, because that person wasn't at the level where they're like doing enough exercise to actually burn that weight. Because I mean, you got to think that like when you're getting stronger, you've got more sets to do the stronger you get, so you're burning more calories as it goes on. So you're kind of like, the higher you go up, the more you kind of need to actually kind of put that in. Like, because if you're at a novice, you're nowhere near, like, you can't physically train enough to be eating that amount of calories. You see what I mean? Like, the stronger you get, the longer your workouts do, because you have more warm-up sets to do, and you know, it kind of goes on like that. Like, so if you're at a novice level, or if you're somebody who's, you know, you're too heavy for the weight class below you, but you're not heavy enough for the weight class above you, that doesn't mean you should dirty bulk your way up there. Slowly kind of work your way up there would be a better option.
Absolutely.
Be a bit more realistic about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything to add to that?
Don't think so.
No. But I think that is us for episode 11. That is it, folks. If you have any other topics you want us to talk about, shoot any of us a message.
Yep.
Love the feedback.
Love the feedback. Yeah,
We
absolutely.
do. Yep.
Like the content, share the content, get it out there.
Subscribe and like.
You know the crack.
The ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Hit that subscribe bell. Bye.
All right. Thank you very much.
Later.